Ladies and gentlemen, imagine someone who loves you deeply, yet they ignore you when you need them the most. Sounds strange, right? But what if I told you that this very behavior could be the key to your growth, your success, and your understanding of life itself? We often seek comfort and validation, but it's the hard truths, the moments of silence, and the absence of immediate attention that shape our true potential. The one who loves you the most is not here to coddle you. They're here to push you, to test your resilience, and to challenge you in ways you can't yet see. What if this neglect is the greatest gift, the toughest love that drives you toward greatness? But wait, the story doesn't end there. What if there's a deeper lesson hidden in this seeming paradox that will change everything you thought you knew about love, success, and personal power? Stay with me and let's uncover this truth together. Tough love is one of the most misunderstood concepts in relationships, especially when it comes to those who care deeply for us. It's easy to mistake love for constant attention, affection, and approval, but true love is not about keeping someone in their comfort zone. It's about giving them the freedom and space to grow, even when it feels difficult. When someone who loves you ignores you, it's not out of neglect or indifference. Rather, it's an invitation to look inward, to explore your own strengths, and to rely on yourself in ways you might not have thought possible. At first, being ignored by someone you care about can feel like a betrayal. You might wonder, why aren't they paying attention to me? Why don't they want to be there for me when I need them? But this silence is not an absence of love. It is, in fact, the opposite. It is a form of love that seeks to teach you something invaluable, your own strength. When we are constantly given reassurance, we never learn to stand on our own. We become dependent, waiting for the next word of encouragement or the next validation to get us through the day. But when love withdraws in this way, it forces us to look within ourselves for the answers, the strength, and the confidence we need. Self-reliance is not built in the moments of comfort. It's forged in the times of struggle, of solitude, and of overcoming obstacles without immediate help. Tough love gives us the chance to prove to ourselves that we are capable of facing life's challenges head-on without leaning on others for constant guidance. In these moments of perceived neglect, you are actually being given the most powerful opportunity for growth. You are learning to trust yourself, to make decisions without fearing judgment, and to become your own biggest supporter. When someone who loves you ignores you, they are giving you the space to discover your potential. It's a form of tough love that's rooted in trust. They trust that you have the ability to rise to the occasion, even when they're not there to hold your hand. They know that by pulling back, you will learn to push forward. This type of love doesn't coddle you or offer instant comfort. Instead, it challenges you to find your own way and develop the resilience needed to face life's inevitable difficulties. Often, we spend too much time seeking approval from others, hoping that their words will affirm our worth or validate our actions. But true growth happens when we stop seeking approval and start trusting our own instincts. Tough love teaches us that we don't need to rely on others' approval to feel validated. When we are left to our own devices, we begin to see our own capabilities more clearly. We start to recognize that we don't need constant encouragement or external validation to feel worthy or competent. This form of love is not easy to accept. It requires patience, understanding, and the willingness to trust the process. But it's one of the most powerful tools for personal development. When someone who loves you pulls away, it forces you to confront your own weaknesses, your insecurities, and your fears. And in doing so, you discover strengths you never knew you had. You learn to rely on yourself, to solve problems independently, and to face challenges with confidence. In a world that often values instant gratification and constant connection, tough love is a rare and valuable gift. It's not about abandoning you or making you feel unimportant. It's about challenging you to become more than you ever thought you could be. It's about trusting that you have everything you need within yourself to thrive, even when no one is watching. This love does not say, "I'll always be there for you," but rather, "I believe in you to the point that I know you can do this on your own." In the end, tough love doesn't just make us stronger, it transforms us. It shifts our perspective from dependence to independence, from waiting for approval to confidently taking action. It pushes us out of our comfort zones and forces us to grow in ways that are often uncomfortable, but always rewarding. And when we finally realize that we are capable of standing on our own 2 feet, we can truly appreciate the depth of the love that pushed us to become self-reliant in the first place. When someone who loves you ignores you, it can feel like a deep wound at first. The absence of attention, affection, or validation can make you feel unimportant or rejected. But beneath the surface of this apparent neglect, there is a powerful lesson in resilience and independence that can change the course of your life. This form of emotional distance is not an act of malice, but a deliberate choice to allow you the space to grow, to stretch beyond the limitations you've placed on yourself, and to develop the inner strength you may not have realized you needed. When we are constantly surrounded by the attention of others, it's easy to fall into the trap of relying on external validation for our sense of worth. We seek affirmation from those around us, whether it's through praise, recognition, or simply knowing that someone cares. This kind of constant reinforcement can create a dependency, one that ties our sense of self to how others perceive us. The moment that attention fades, we are left wondering who we are without it. We might feel like we've lost something significant, but what we don't realize is that we've actually been given an invaluable opportunity. In the absence of others' attention, we are forced to confront ourselves without the crutch of external approval. Ignoring someone is not about punishing them. It's about creating a necessary void in their life where they are no longer dependent on someone else to feel whole. It's about allowing that person to fill the emptiness themselves. And in that space, the seeds of resilience are planted. When you are forced to stand alone without the constant reassurance of those around you, you learn to rely on your own inner resources. You learn to be your own source of motivation, validation, and strength. The process isn't easy, it can be uncomfortable, even painful, but it is through that discomfort that you begin to build the very qualities that will carry you through life's challenges. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to withstand hardship, and to continue moving forward in the face of obstacles. It is not something that is given to you, it is something that is earned through experience. When someone who loves you ignores you, you are being forced to develop resilience in the most organic way. You must face your feelings of abandonment, doubt, and loneliness and find ways to process them without relying on someone else to guide you. You learn how to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going, even when the emotional support you might have once relied on isn't there. This space that is created through neglect also teaches you the importance of independence. Independence isn't just about being able to function on your own. It's about the freedom to make decisions, the courage to stand by those decisions, and the confidence to know that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. When someone who loves you gives you space, they are giving you the freedom to make mistakes, to learn from them, and to ultimately grow stronger in the process. You are no longer confined by the opinions or expectations of others. You become free to chart your own course, to explore your own passions, and to define your own success. What's powerful about this type of growth is that it's not always evident right away. At first, you may feel abandoned or confused, unsure of why the person who loves you isn't offering the support you expect. But over time, you begin to realize that their absence isn't a reflection of how they feel about you. Rather, it's a reflection of their belief in your ability to thrive on your own. They are not ignoring you out of indifference. They are allowing you to grow in ways you couldn't if they were constantly intervening in your life. It's through their quiet distance that you are given the freedom to discover just how capable you are. In a world where we are often bombarded with constant feedback and stimulation, it can be difficult to understand why someone might choose to ignore us. But this silence is not an act of cruelty. It is a powerful form of love that challenges you to confront your weaknesses, to develop new strengths, and to ultimately emerge more independent, confident, and capable. The person who loves you enough to step back is doing so because they know that in the long run, this space will help you become the best version of yourself. And though it may not feel like it at first, Their decision to ignore you is one of the greatest gifts they can give you. It is in this space that you will find your resilience, your independence, and your true strength. When love is given without constant attention, it can be one of the most challenging forms of affection, but also one of the most transformative. Often we grow up associating love with constant reassurance, with being the center of someone's world, with endless attention that affirms our worth. We expect those who love us to constantly remind us of our value, to be there for us in every moment, and to affirm our abilities with every word and action. But what happens when that love takes a step back, when the attention is no longer constant? At first, it may feel like abandonment or indifference, but in truth, it is an opportunity for personal growth, a space for us to learn to value ourselves without relying on external validation. When someone loves you without showering you with attention, they are teaching you an invaluable lesson. Your worth does not depend on the constant presence of others. In the absence of constant affirmation, you are forced to look within and ask yourself, what do I really value about myself? This is where the true power of self-worth lies. It is not built on the fleeting words or actions of others. It is built on the foundation of your own recognition of your unique qualities, strengths, and capabilities. When love takes a step back, you are given the space to reflect on who you truly are without the noise of constant validation. In this space, you begin to recognize that your worth is not defined by the opinions or approval of others. It is not something that can be handed to you through external praise or affection. Your worth comes from within, from your ability to stand tall on your own, to navigate the world with confidence, and to know deep down that you are valuable regardless of whether anyone else acknowledges it. This realization is incredibly freeing because it allows you to stop seeking validation in every interaction. Instead of relying on others to tell you that you are enough, you learn to tell yourself that you are enough. Without constant attention, you begin to realize your own strengths and abilities. When no one is there to constantly cheer you on, you start to rely on yourself to get through challenges. You learn to celebrate your achievements, big or small, on your own terms. This process teaches you to be proud of your successes without needing others to affirm them for you. When you achieve something, you take ownership of it. You recognize that your hard work, determination, and abilities led to that achievement, and you no longer need someone else to say, "Well done." Furthermore, love without constant attention teaches you how to cope with moments of solitude, teaching you the power of independence. When there's no one constantly offering you support or guidance, you are forced to become your own anchor. You start to develop resilience, self-motivation, and the ability to navigate life's challenges without waiting for someone to come to your rescue. This independence is not about isolating yourself or rejecting the help of others, but rather about understanding that you have the ability to stand on your own, to make decisions, and to trust your own judgment. As you spend more time learning to value yourself without the need for constant affirmation, you also begin to notice that your relationships with others change. You no longer enter relationships seeking validation, but rather seeking connection and mutual respect. You are no longer dependent on others to make you feel complete. Instead, you are able to offer love and support to those around you from a place of strength and self-awareness. You become a source of strength not just for yourself, but for others as well, as you have learned to be whole on your own. This process of learning to value yourself without the constant attention of others also teaches you the importance of self-care. When you are not constantly seeking external approval, you begin to focus on your own well-being. You learn what truly nurtures your mind, body, and spirit, and you take the time to care for yourself in ways that are meaningful to you. This kind of self-care goes beyond the surface level of pampering. It is a deep, nourishing care that comes from knowing your needs and taking the time to meet them. You begin to realize that the most important relationship you have is with yourself, and you learn how to nurture and respect that relationship. Ultimately, love without constant attention teaches you the most important lesson of all, that you are enough just as you are. You don't need anyone's constant affirmation to prove your value. You don't need to be the center of someone's world to know that you matter. You are enough because of your inherent worth, because of your unique qualities, and because of the strength you carry within yourself. When you learn to value yourself without the need for constant attention, you unlock the full potential of your abilities, your confidence, and your ability to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. You begin to understand that love, at its truest form, doesn't need to be constantly affirmed. It simply exists, and so do you, strong, capable, and worthy. Absence of validation can be one of the most difficult experiences to face, especially when we have grown accustomed to relying on the praise and approval of others. Whether it's from family, friends, colleagues, or even strangers, external validation has a way of giving us a sense of worth and purpose. We look for recognition in our accomplishments, and when it's not given, it can make us question our efforts and abilities. However, this absence of validation holds a crucial lesson. It forces us to look inward to find the motivation that comes not from the approval of others, but from our own sense of purpose and drive. In the long run, this inner motivation is the key to achieving lasting success. When validation is present, it's easy to feel like we are on the right path. Positive reinforcement makes us feel validated in our choices, actions, and goals. It's a natural human tendency to seek recognition, but what happens when that external support disappears? Initially, it may feel like a loss, and for many, it can be disheartening. We may find ourselves asking, what's the point of continuing if no one is noticing or appreciating what I'm doing? But this is precisely the moment when we are forced to look inside ourselves and find the strength to keep moving forward. The absence of validation challenges us to redefine success. When we are constantly relying on external feedback, we can easily fall into the trap of measuring our success by others' standards. We start to base our worth on whether others recognize our efforts or celebrate our achievements. But when that external affirmation is no longer present, we must shift our focus. We learn that success is not dependent on external opinions or validation. It is about the satisfaction we find in our own growth and progress. This shift in perspective allows us to set goals that are meaningful to us, not just goals that will impress others. We become more connected to our intrinsic desires and motivations rather than simply chasing accolades or praise. Inner motivation is the driving force that sustains us when external validation is absent. It's what propels us to keep going when no one is watching, when no one is cheering us on. Unlike external validation, which is fleeting and dependent on others, inner motivation comes from a deep sense of purpose and self-belief. It's the quiet voice inside that reminds us why we started in the first place, why we care about our goals, and why we will continue to pursue them even in the face of obstacles. This inner drive becomes a constant companion, guiding us through the ups and downs, helping us persevere even when things get tough. The process of finding this inner motivation can be incredibly empowering. We begin to trust ourselves more as we realize that we don't need others' approval to keep moving forward. We learn to celebrate our own victories, no matter how small, because we know that they are meaningful to us, and that's all that matters. When we rely on external validation, we become dependent on others for our sense of achievement, but when we find our inner motivation, we become self-sufficient. We no longer wait for someone else to tell us that we've done well, we know it ourselves. This journey toward inner motivation also teaches us the value of persistence. Success rarely comes easily or quickly. It requires consistent effort, discipline, and resilience. When validation is absent, it becomes clear that success doesn't happen overnight, and that the path to achieving our goals is often long and winding. However, with inner motivation, we are able to keep moving forward, even when the progress feels slow or when we encounter setbacks. It's this persistence, this unwavering belief in ourselves and our ability to succeed that ultimately leads to lasting success. We become less concerned with immediate praise and more focused on the long-term results of our efforts. In fact, the absence of validation can often lead to greater creativity and innovation. Without the pressure to conform to others' expectations or to seek approval, we are free to explore new ideas and take risks. We become more willing to fail, knowing that our worth is not tied to others' opinions of our failures. This freedom allows us to think outside the box, to take bold actions, and to push ourselves beyond our comfort zones. As a result, we become more innovative and adaptable, qualities that are essential for long-term success. When we rely on inner motivation instead of external validation, we also develop a stronger sense of self-awareness. We learn to recognize what truly drives us, what we are passionate about, and what we want to achieve. We stop looking to others for direction and start trusting our own instincts and desires. This self-awareness is key to staying on track and pursuing goals that are aligned with our true values. When we are in tune with our own motivations, we make decisions that are in line with our purpose, and we are more likely to achieve sustainable success. Ultimately, the absence of validation forces us to rely on ourselves for motivation, and this is the foundation for lasting success. By developing inner motivation, we create a strong, resilient drive that can withstand the inevitable challenges and setbacks we face along the way. We learn that our worth is not dependent on others' approval, and that true success comes from within. When we are able to tap into this inner drive, we become unstoppable, capable of achieving our goals and reaching new heights, regardless of external circumstances. This is the kind of success that endures, the kind that is not swayed by the opinions of others, but is rooted in our own belief in ourselves and our ability to achieve greatness.